Welcome back to Game On. Let's take to the pitch and check in with Carroll County soccer teams, where 4 teams recently battled in state quarterfinals. Century's girls faced C. Milton Wright in the 2A quarterfinals. The Knights led 2-1 late in regulation, but the Mustangs tied it up and the game went into PKs where CM Wright prevailed. Century's season ends with a 12-2-3 record. Liberty's girls had a 1A quarterfinal at home last Saturday against Harford Tech, and the Warriors came down from Harford County and left with a victory. Liberty finishes at 11-5-1 for their season. Liberty's boys got past International Langley Park behind a goal from Austin Veach, and the Lions won their 1A quarterfinal. And Century's boys blanked Hereford in the 2A quarterfinal behind 2 goals from Nick McGinn, who has 5 goals in his last 2 matches. Let's take a look at the boys soccer state brackets, and we start with Class 1A. Allegheny gets Perryville in one of the semifinals, and Liberty meets Harford Tech in the other one. The Lions are going after their first state finals trip since 2010. Over to 2A now, and you see Century getting ready for Queen Anne's and North Harford set to face Damascus. The Knights are back in the state semifinals for the 7th time in program history. Liberty's 1A semifinal against Harford Tech on Saturday at noon at Bel Air High School, and the Cobras are trying to make it back to the finals for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. In Class 2A, Century and top-seeded Queen Anne's face off on Saturday at noon at Glen Burnie High School. The Lions have not been to the state semifinals since 2012. That's the Queen Anne's Lions. We got another round of Coach's Corner now, and it's time to hear from both of the boys soccer coaches. Let's start with Century's Stephen Hurst, who has the Knights in the middle of a deep playoff run in his first season as their head coach.
Coach, the regular season, highs and lows, but you guys have kind of righted the ship and you've gotten to the state semifinals now. When did you see things change for the Century team as a whole? Was there a moment in the season where you thought things could turn for the better?
I think at the Westminster game when we played there, we played a solid game throughout the game. No matter who we had on the field and what we were playing, we were just consistent all the way through, and that was kind of what one of our goals was to kind of play a consistent game of soccer for 80 minutes, and I think that was a good turning point for us.
I know the last 2 games have been a lot of Nick McGinn in terms of scoring goals, but what struck me at the Winters Mill game, the regional final, 7 different guys scored a goal for you, and your offense is taking off. As a coach, I'm sure it makes you happy when you see it's not just one guy you have to rely on to kind of charge your offense.
Right, yeah. I think that the scoring, I mean, outside of Nick, it's pretty balanced across the whole team. And, we kind of see that as, being an advantage where, you can't necessarily key on 1 or 2 players. Right. I think there, guys have stepped up and come through and, scored goals when it's really actually important time. And I think as you get higher levels, the games get tighter and tighter. So those guys that are coming through in that clutch, whether it's Nick or other players, it's going to, hopefully it's pay dividends for us.
And your defense, too, has risen to the occasion when it's been asked to. How pleased are you with the defense, the way it's grown from August to now?
I think that they, in the past, there's been a little mistake here or there, and it's cost us. I think now we're kind of minimizing those little mistakes are going away, and the defense, the players are playing together cohesively like a really good unit, not just the back 3, but essentially the whole team. And I think that helps them understand that hey, we can have a clean sheet, or we can hold them at a low scoring, and we can take advantage of that. And that's too important, in the playoffs.
What do you know about the next opponent in terms of the state semifinal and how your guys ready to approach an unknown opponent, somebody you're not as familiar with?
Yeah, I think that we know they're pretty strong in the midfield. We know that they play a similar style game to us, a similar formation, and we know that they're hungry like all the other all 4 teams in the semifinals. So. And we know that, they played a common opponent that we played last year in the playoffs. So we have some of the guys have a little bit of comparison from that.
This program has a lot of high expectations every year, and it's had a recent state success. You don't have to tell that to the kids, but do you see it in their eyes? They understand that this is a different, the second season, whatever you want to call it. You mentioned the Westminster game. They sort of flipped that switch, and now here you guys are 2 wins away from a state title. It doesn't really need to be said that the motivation is there for them, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a bounce in their step and a pep yesterday when they came out for practice, and I think that as each playoff game goes through, we're trying to think about just the next game and that one game at that point in time, and then when it comes through and when we're successful, then we'll start thinking about the next game. So right now we're just focused on the game on Saturday. I think that they're definitely more excited, and they're actually more focused. I think they're coming with a purpose, basically. So I think that's only a good thing, right?
Thanks to Coach Hurst for his time. Over to Liberty we go now and check in with another first-year coach in Donnie Kwedar, whose team is riding an impressive winning streak heading into their state semifinals.
Coach, at one point you guys were 4-4, and since then you've righted the ship. Can you think back to a couple of things that you've done in the last 8 games that have gotten you on the right direction?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is the Century win. We went into that game. It was a very tough game, and it seemed like when the boys rallied together and came ahead on 2-1 victory with that game, it seems like things changed for us, and that was a good feeling for them, good feeling for me. I could just sense it. It was just something that, as a coach, you could do everything you possibly can, but with kids, there's this other phenomenon that seems to happen, and when they got past that, they won that result. I could see a change.
And it's gotten you to this point, but also the fact that the Carroll County is very competitive. It was a tough county this year. It usually always is. How much of the success there gets them ready for the playoffs and things of that nature when you're going into the one-and-done mentality?
I think it's very successful. Everybody in the county has something to bring. Every one of those teams have really good players, and they're collectively good teams. And you have to come out every night to play hard, because as we've seen, if you look at all the scores, everybody's kind of beating everybody. It prepares us, I think, well. We have a lot of even out-of-season games, like we play some 3A schools that are really, really good, and that gives us a chance to see how good we are, and that gives us a true sense of who we are and what we have to do moving forward.
Speaking of that, what do you know about the opponent this weekend, and what are you guys going to have to do to stay the course here, win another game, and get to a state championship game?
I don't think that we have to change much. I have watched as much film as I have possibly could on them, whatever's available. What I do know is that if we come out and we play discipline and we play our best game, we have an opportunity. I think the team we're going to play, they have really good strategy, and I think they're going to be a tough opponent. I respect them. I think it's going to be a great game. I just hope that I'm just hoping for our guys, because the one thing that I really enjoyed about this season was seeing the perseverance and the amount of care that I've seen from them. It really motivates a coach to work harder when the kids care. When they care, you want to put everything you got into it. And so I'm giving them everything I can right now. I'm exhausted, but I don't care. If it's a good result, then it'll be worth it. So,
Thank you to both coaches for their time. Winners of the state semifinals advance to the state finals at Loyola Maryland's Ridley Athletic Complex, November 16th, 17th, or 18th. More details to come on that, so stay tuned.
Want more local sports coverage? Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.